Hey guys, Shane here, Aus Flight Simmer. Welcome to another episode of Test Drive. Now, if you haven't seen one of these before, this is where I take a scenery, an aircraft, an add-on or utility from different flight simulators, and I'll take it for a spin around the block. I'll give you my first impressions, and I'll let you know if it's a value for money. Would I actually buy it? In today's video, we are checking out the new release from the team at Wing42, which is a new developer, and they've released their first product in early access for Prepar3D, which is the Lockheed Vega 5. This copy of the Vega 5 was provided to me by the team at Wing42, but it won't persuade any of my opinions when it comes to the test drive. Straight off the bat, when we take a look at the exterior of the Vega 5, you can see a lot of work has gone into the exterior 3D modeling. Everything's been modeled, such as the petrol cap right to all the details in the engines. They've also included 4K texturing, all handcrafted, and I really like the texture work on this aircraft. Even if we look at the tail end and the horizontal stabilizer, you can see all the grease and dust marks and the grime marks between the hinges there. The Vega 5 comes with a few different liveries, such as the Lockheed factory default livery, the fixtural Wing42 livery, which we'll be doing a flight here today, even the Shell number 7 livery, and also some other famous liveries of the Vega 5. And I would have to say my favorite feature of this aircraft on the exterior is the 450 horsepower up the front there with the Pratt & Whitney engine. And when you're sitting in the cockpit, this thing is alive, rattling around. Absolutely awesome, and a very good immersive feel. And I would like to mention again, this aircraft is in early access, so there's still things to add to it. But if you are not just the person after things with looks when it comes to aircraft and you want systems, I'll tell you what, this thing's got some systems. But before we jump into the aircraft, we're going to have a look at the payload manager that is currently being working on. Before we get to the cargo manager, I just wanted to show you the maintenance logbook. This is probably one of the most detailed maintenance logbook for an aircraft I've seen for a long time. It's still in works, but not everything is in place. But what's in there so far, you can go and check very intricate details of the aircraft, and to check to see what condition they are in. We'll just check the PITO report, and it looks good to go. So I think we need to load our passengers, our fuel, and get this Vega into the air. So on the cargo manager side, you can basically do a walk around and remove all your ground equipment that you can see in front of us here. You can add fuel, you can add cargo, and you can add passengers to the aircraft. Mind you, when you add the passengers, they don't appear in the aircraft. Apologies, I'm filming this in 4K, so it may look quite small when you're looking at the cargo manager. It's not scalable at the moment, so hopefully that's something they will add down the track. But we're going to start removing the ground equipment, and then we'll jump into the cockpit. I'll give you a quick show around, and then we'll do a startup. Welcome to the cockpit of the Vega. We're just opening up the windows as it's a little bit hot today. I finally got the left window open, and we're going to open up the right one. I'm still getting used to the mouse movements of the aircraft. One thing I really love is the manual windscreen wipers. How cool or authentic is that? I don't think I've seen that before in another aircraft. But just taking a look, you can see the age of the Vega. Like, you know, your pulley system's using ropes. Like, everything is modeled and it moves. As you can see, all the cabling that's going straight through the firewall into the engine. So absolutely phenomenal when it comes to detail, even like the different colorations of the wood. And with move over here, we can see where the fuel pump is, the brake, and also the fuse box. So the Vega does have persistence in there, so if the way that you leave it, the way that you jump back into the aircraft, it will be in the same position. Also, it is simulators that you can have bad fuses as well, so I'm just simulating me actually changing them, but it looks like all our fuses are good to go. So sometimes I've had it when I'm trying to do a startup. I check my fuses okay. When I go to do the startup, I've blown one. So that's really authentic and immersive. So I really enjoy that part of the Vega. We're just going to jump in and do a quick startup. I'm just putting the aircraft back in the cold and dark state, as I left it as a dirty aircraft, so to speak. So just putting the handbrake on there. All the electrical systems of the Vega have been modeled independently. They use real-world physics calculations, and I think they run separately to the sim. All the aircraft gauges also have been modeled, and the needles and stuff shake around. As you can see there, I was pulling back, I think they're called pneumatic fuel gauges. So you pull it back and then it shows the fuel, the actual how much fuel you got, which is a little bit different than what I've come across before. We need to do our own manual pumping for the fuel, which is pretty cool to get up to pressure. So I'm going to keep pumping away up to about 5 pounds of pressure, and it gets a little bit harder as you go along, which I think that's a nice touch, because that's what would happen in real life. So we're going to prime the aircraft, and we'll see if we can get this started. But it's if you're not spot on with how you start this aircraft, it won't start straight away, which is interesting. So I'm just going to pump that fuel up a little bit more, and we'll see how we go. I guarantee I won't start it straight away. I'll do something wrong. We'll just make sure our throttles are correct, then we'll hit the start button. That was a bit anticlimax. We'll have to see what I've done wrong. And it looks like we've popped a fuse, so the one on the far left there is not the same as the others, so we'll get rid of that. So I'm not sure if that was because it was a faulty fuse or something wrong with the aircraft, or I did something wrong. Pretty much going to put $10 for the win that I did something wrong. But anyways, we'll pop that back, and we'll put some energy back into the aircraft, and we'll try for another start. I think I might have to pump the fuel again. We'll just pump it like a mad chicken. And we've got it wrong again, so hopefully third time lucky, we will get this right. Third time's going to be a charm. There we go. Love that sound of that startup. As you can see now, everything's coming alive. It's all starting to shake around. I love the engine shake out the front there, on the bonnet, and all the needles are starting to shake around too. So aircraft is coming alive. We're going to let it warm up, and then we're going to quickly taxi out. But as you can see how heavily this aircraft is simulated for the Vega, so it makes things really interesting and fun. So we've been saying that it's time to taxi and get out of here. So today's flight, we are at KBUR, so Burbank, which is a Lockheed Martin airport. I believe this is one of the first airports where the Vega was flying around in many years ago. We're going to be doing a flight over to the downtown LA and back, and checking out the city. One thing to remind, this is a tail dragger, so when you're taxiing around, visibility is not really good at all. But mind you, it's probably one of the better tail draggers that I've reviewed or taken a look at in recent times when it comes to taxiing. So we're just going to pull up here and get configured for takeoff. There's no flaps in this aircraft whatsoever, so we won't need to muck around with them. And but we'll be on our way very shortly. We are now configured and ready for takeoff, so we're just going to pull out to the runway. I'm going to close these windows here because it may get a bit noisy. But anyways, I'll be quiet now. Please enjoy the takeoff, and I'll come back to you shortly. that was pretty straightforward. The Vega is very stable on takeoff. Normally I've found that tail draggers move quite a lot around before the tail lifts up, but that was pretty straightforward. So we're going to hang a bit of a right here and make our way over to the center of LA. So we'll see how she flies and see how she looks in the air as well. Welcome back to the cockpit. We're just doing our scenic flight over the city of LA, but I thought I would show you around and just show you how this aircraft really comes to life in the air. Being an older aircraft with different types of material made, this thing is vibrating everywhere. Even look at those, I don't know, do you call that a cupboard door? I'm not too sure, but everything vibrates and moves and really comes to life. Even the floorboards down here, you can see they're vibrating. Well, actually, I didn't know that. That's a little secret spot there. I didn't even know that. Look, you can see the rudder pedals attached and how they move around. That's something I didn't know. I haven't seen that before. But anyways, you can see how everything in the aircraft models around and moves around. It really comes to life. Like all the needles, you know, they're not staying in one place. And even the engine cover here just vibrating around everywhere. But one thing to notice, being an older aircraft, visibility's not too great. But there's one really cool thing I have seen that I do want to show you guys. We're going to flip up the seat and we're going to duck down to the back and take a quick. So in the back we've got some rope handles for the passengers to hold on to, but the really cool thing is they're all individually are modelled, so when I turn left and turn right, these things will swing with the aircraft. That is the first time I've seen that in an aircraft modelled before. Absolutely awesome job. Which brings me to one thing. I need to know what happens when I go upside down, so I need to give it a try. So let's do a bit of a barrel roll in the Vega. I've just switched to the back seat. Normally I don't do any aerobatics in a test drive video, but I couldn't help myself. And look at that. As you can see, they will move around differently. Oh, this is not good. Have a look at that. As you can see, they're being modelled and they are working all independently. That is insane. So now I've got the ropes out of my system, we're going to make our way back to the airport. So I'm going to duck up to the cockpit and we'll see you as we're on final. Welcome back to the cockpit. We are on final into Burbank. The Vega is quite surprising. It's very chilled out and easy to fly. I'm really enjoying flying the Vega around, but I've lined up and I'm a little bit too high, so we'll see how we go if I can actually make a half decent landing. So I'll come back to you shortly, just after we have wheels down. Always interesting and jumping back in a tail dragger, but I've just got to ease it off. I don't want to apply the brakes on too much so I don't flip it over. But there we go, the back tail is going down. It would be quite interesting to check this aircraft out in VR. I haven't done it because you've sort of limited the way that the pilot sits up on the top to your view, and coming to landing I had to sort of move the aircraft around just so I can see the runway. But anyways, we'll pull off here and we'll take a look at the replay, and I'll come back to you with my final thoughts. So my final thoughts on the Vega 5 is that it is pretty good for an early access release product. There is not too many bugs and there's a fair bit done to it. So within saying that, if you want something that's really sort of systems driven in the old vintage era, I would seriously go and take a look at this. Now, something I really like to see, I think the team at Wing42 have got the pricing right for an early access aircraft, being €20 off the standard release price that it will be in the future. And also, for a limited time only, there is a code down in the comments below for all Aus Flight Simmer viewers. You can enter that code and you'll receive an extra 20% discount on already the €20 off the original price. So I hope you got something out of the test drive video today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this sort of content and you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers, goodbye.